Hey VC, what's up? It's me, yours truly. I am back to post a quick video here. This is going to be Mr. Hall of Fame paying his respects to the one and only Farley's Retro Fan Cave, his 1,000 subscribers contest. I'm sure a lot of you guys already know Farley. You know, really cool guy, really great guy. Awesome taste in music, which is definitely a good thing. And just one of those guys that I really kind of connect with in the sense that he's one of those guys that if you ever were walking down a dark alley and you saw him, you might have one thought about him, may even freak you out a little bit. But then when you actually kind of sit down and talk with him, and you realize he's actually just kind of like a really laid back, cool kind of guy, whatever. One of those guys that can become your best friend in just like a couple of minutes. I don't know. I always tend to like people like that. I tend to connect with people like that, and maybe it's because of my life experience too. I mean, I'm 6'5", almost 6'6", and people oftentimes have just kind of with my presence, if you will, have gotten a certain idea or maybe judge me in a certain way, and not necessarily negative, but just kind of in general as we do as humans, and then later they pretty much find out, oh, it's just really just a big nerd. This is what it boils down to. So yeah, again, I really tend to just kind of connect with guys like that. So that's definitely Farley all the way. Great guy, awesome guy, and this is just like, again, my respects to his 1,000 subscribers contest, which is a good chunk of subs to have, but at the same time, as many people that are in the VC, Farley should have way more than 1,000 subs. So those of you that are not subscribed to his channel, you are certainly missing out. I'm going to put a link at the bottom of this video. Make sure you go check him out when you get to the end of this video. Make sure you sub too, because again, you're missing out on a lot of good stuff if you don't. So let's kind of jump right into it. He had kind of 4 questions, kind of nice too, because they didn't require necessarily to pull vinyl, which is kind of different. Just to just some good general questions, and I have a contest coming up pretty soon as well. So I think I'm going to kind of take Farley's lead on that and try to do something very similar in that regard, because I think it's a really great contest. So let's jump right into question number 1. Kind of name a person or thing that drew you towards music, or kind of initiated your love in music and all that good stuff. Of course, there's a few that I could kind of mention there, and actually all of them I've mentioned a few times in the VC, but I have no problem telling the stories again because I love them. But I'll kind of give the short version of the two main ones that always stick out in my mind. Here's the quick short versions. I grew up in Southern Illinois, small town, east side, which was the wrong side of the tracks. We scraped together the pennies that we had to get by. We were living in the projects, again, wrong side of town. So I loved music, and had always liked music. And it just came out of the disco era as a young kid, and I really liked a lot of that stuff, but just wasn't exposed to a bunch of different stuff beyond the R&B and disco that I knew, and gospel. And of course, back then, there wasn't an internet to go to just to listen and discover all kind of things. And if you didn't have money to actually go buy tapes and everything, there weren't people in my neighborhood that were going out buying tapes and had tape players where they could dub and do tape swapping. Like, that stuff just didn't exist. So getting access to new music wasn't as regular a thing as it is today. But so in the middle of my 5th grade year, my dad busted his butt, got his PhD, and became a professor and started teaching at a college a couple states over. So for me, in that 5th grade year, moving from this project where myself and 3 of my brothers were sharing one bedroom, all of a sudden we moved to middle class America, if you will, and we all have our own bedrooms, and we have a house with a fireplace, and like, we just thought we won the freaking lottery. Like, we thought it was just the greatest thing in the world. Well, one of the main things that changed with that was I went from all of my friends being black to black in a, again, poor, wrong side of the tracks neighborhood, to all of my friends being white in a more upper middle class neighborhood. So, not long after I got there, my friend Matt, my friend John, but mainly my friend Matt, I would say, he was one that just asked me right off the bat, do you like music? Do you listen to yeah, you know, so I kind of named off some of the things that I liked, and he was kind of like, oh, never really heard of any of those, but have you ever heard of this, this, or this? And he gave me a mixtape one day to check out, and I'll never forget this. He gave me this mixtape, and it had Queen on there, it had Led Zeppelin, it had The Who, it had Aerosmith, and just like, and I listened to that one tape, and I'm like, dude, it's like you have more of this stuff now. I need a little bit more of this stuff because it just kind of feels a little good. You know, like it was like literally like just drugs shooting into my body. And from that point, after I told him, he was like, "Oh yeah," and it was like, "Here's AC/DC, here's more Aerosmith, you know, here's Twisted Sister, here's Ozzy Osbourne," and it was just like, "Oh my God!" I swear it was like Neo in the first Matrix, when they first plugged him in and they were downloading all his, you know, jiu-jitsu and all that kind of stuff, and it's just like your eyes just tweak. I swear my first few months there was just like that, because I was taking in all of this stuff so fast. And unlike a lot of people, in some cases that, you know, you kind of grew up, here's the new Ozzy record, here's the new AC/DC record, here's the new, you know, and as things go, for me it was kind of like, here is all of it at one time, you know. And, you know, Van Halen, you know, all that stuff, that was all Matt, because his brother was a DJ at a radio station, so Matt had access to, like, you know, his brother had all these albums in his room. It just went on for days, and sometimes he'd be telling me about a song at night, and it's like, no, I haven't heard of that one before. We would call his brother up at the radio station. He was like, hey, could you play that song, blah blah, and within 2 or 3 spins, like, there it was. So yeah, man, yeah, Matt introduced me to so much stuff. So that would be definitely one thing that really initiated most of what is my music world today. And of course, the second thing too, again, quick story that I've told a number of different times, was, again, right after this move, Matt's introduced me all to this hard rock type of stuff, but he wasn't into like new wave stuff. He wasn't into the 80s pop stuff. So that still wasn't something I knew about. Well, I'm vacuuming the house one day, helping my mom clean. I see this face pop up on the TV, because you can't hear it because, you know, vacuuming. And I see this face pop up, and I'm just like, that dude is freaking cool. I need to find out what this is. And I turn off the vacuum and go turn on the TV, turn up the volume, and it's the video for Billy Idol's Eyes Without a Face. So I sit there and just am totally floored by that. And then the very next video was U2's With or Without You. Those were back to back. And both of those just completely and totally blew my mind. And that was the first time I'd ever watched MTV. And New Wave just exploded for me from that point. So those were definitely the two kind of defining moments, person/thing, that really sparked what probably is literally 60% of what's on my shelf today. So that would be my answer to that question. The next one is, what do you like about the VC? Kind of, I guess, in terms of the VC in general, videos, that type of thing. And I'd probably say 2 things. Number one, I agree with you, Farley, on what you were saying about, you know, seeing people do unboxings and getting pieces they've been looking for quite some time, getting grails and great VCLT and stuff like that. You know, being able to participate in their joy with that, and just, you know, seeing people that you like and that you care about being happy and excited. That's always a great thing. I haven't been as active in the VC over the past couple years, but back when I was a lot more active, that was one of my favorite things, was when I was sending out VCLT. I would always request that the person do a live opening, just because I wanted to share in their excitement. Yeah, so that was, I remember we did a really awesome one for LJ, Elbow Sauce, and a few other people as well, but it was just always fun to be able to participate and be there with your friends being, you know, happy and excited. So I definitely agree with that. Probably my favorite videos in the VC, I love room tour videos. Those are almost always my favorite. It's just something about going into a person's world of where they take in and enjoy music, and always kind of, I always kind of feel like a room, especially a room dedicated to music or that's overwhelmed by music, to me, that's kind of the equivalent of someone just kind of opening up their head and going blah. You know, it's like, okay, that's what's in here. You know, that type of thing. At least that's the kind of way I feel about my room. You know, when someone walks into my house and they'll kind of see what's what, you know, that really is kind of like, this is what is inside my head. Like, this is a tangible manifestation of what's going on inside of here. So that's always the feel that I get from watching other people do their room tours and everything else. And I really don't care if it's if you have a big fancy room with these huge built-in, cabinets with fancy recessed lighting, and you have $100,000 system with a $4,000 French chair, leather chair sitting in front of it. I don't care if it's that, or if you have an old broken down recliner with one leg missing, so you're sitting like this with, your music in milk crates and your $100 stereo sitting on a box with a crooked poster on the wall in the corner ripped off. It's like, I don't care. They're the same to me. It's still, you're in someone's world. You're in their music world. You're more or less kind of inside their head in the music zone. It's kind of the feeling. So yeah, that's my favorite videos to watch in the VC is room tours. Matter of fact, the more I'm talking about it, I have a feeling that's probably what's going to end up in my contest. So yeah, moving right along. Pet peeves of the VC. Again, I kind of had two that came to mind, and Farley, you hit on the one when you were talking about, people that have maybe these big elaborate, systems where they've had the money and the desire to invest, knocking smaller, thrown together, if you will, maybe not so purposeful. I don't know if it was the best way to put that, but people with smaller, less inexpensive systems. Yeah, I think that's kind of ridiculous. And equally ridiculous, quite frankly, is people that have these systems that knock people that do want to invest in bigger, that's a waste of money, and those cables are stupid, and but it's the same thing. I mean, like, quite frankly, it's like, shut up, both of you. Shut up. I mean, this world of music is probably the most subjective thing, in terms of what we like, and yeah, we can start talking about this many millihertz and blah blah. Well, who cares? That doesn't mean that it rings best in my ears and gives me the most feeling from the music, because quite frankly, that's what matters. Is how this stuff makes you feel, not technically what it's doing, so to speak. So if you walk into your room, your music space, you sit down, turn on the switch, that music comes over you, and you walk away feeling like, heck yeah, that's right, period. So, no reason to kind of judge each other on that. So yeah, Farley, I definitely agree with you. And again, I think from both sides, that throwing back and forth is just kind of ridiculous. Another pet peeve that I have, like, personally, I don't like bootleg vinyl. I have never bought a bootleg vinyl. I just don't like them for whatever reason. Even if they may sound great or whatever else, it has these rare blah. I don't like bootleg vinyl. I don't mind as much a CD that might be bootleg or that's not official. Those are kind of okay with me. Don't like unofficial vinyl. I'm okay with unofficial CDs. So one of the pet peeves that I do have too is, sometimes showing those CDs. I don't like it when people will just comment, not even on the music, but just to say, that's not official. It's not official, blah, blah. I'm just kind of like, I know what I bought, but it's like, so what? Kind of leave it alone. Just having the need to point that out without even talking about the music is just something that's kind of a pet peeve to me. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not one of those people that believes just because something doesn't feel right or bothers me means that person did something wrong. I think we've gotten way too into that mode, especially in this country these days, that if I'm not feeling right, that means you did something wrong. No, you're not feeling right because you have something that you're dealing with and that's yours. That doesn't mean I did something wrong. So I don't feel people that say or share that stuff, they're not doing anything wrong. It's what, caught their attention. But for me, it's personally a pet peeve because I really don't see the point in that, you know, not even mentioning a thing about the music, but just, that's not official. That's not whatever. That's like, well, okay, bootleg stuff is not official either. So that's kind of a pet peeve of mine. And again, I really want to stress that too. That's not an insult or an attack on anyone that's ever made that comment on my channel. Because again, I don't think you're wrong for making that comment. It's just, that's my stuff. Everyone else has their stuff, and that's kind of just being human in life, interacting with people. So the last one here was, if you had to spend a day with someone in the VC, who would it be and what would you do? That was too hard of a question. So I kind of cheated, and what I said was, okay, if I was just going to have 6 people at a dinner, you know, tonight, who would those 6 people be that I would just want to, you know, maybe sit around and talk about music or kind of blah, blah, blah. And I just kind of went with who the first 6 that come to mind. Like, I actually wrote them down like just really fast, because there's just way too many people in the VC to choose from. So those first 5 that came to mind immediately, 2 of them aren't even in the VC anymore. We'll start off with LJ. You know, I've never had a chance to meet him face to face, and everybody and their mom in the VC knows LJ and knows why you want to have him at that dinner. Pure entertainment. So yeah, I'd definitely like to have LJ at that dinner. My boy Billy Hurst. He kind of had a bit of an unfair advantage too, because I've hung out with Billy a few times, and so I already kind of know just how fun and awesome that is. So, you know, it's hard for him not to be one of the first names that came to mind. So Billy Hurst is there. There used to be a girl in the VC by the name of Chica, I think was her name. And I mean, she had just this incredible music knowledge, especially old school music knowledge. And if I remember correctly, I think at the time she was in the VC, she was like a senior in high school, a junior or senior in high school. I mean, a young girl, but just, I mean, musically just wise and knowledgeable so far beyond her years. It was almost scary. There had to be some reincarnation thing going on with her. She played guitar. She was a great singer, the whole nine, just incredible person. So I would love to have her at that dinner. Diane, of course, all you guys know her. She has introduced me to so much music on the psych and fusion jazz side, which is something I've really wanted to grow and get more of an understanding of in my collection. And I have purchased and discovered so many albums from her, videos and needle drops. You know, I would love to have her at that dinner as well, just to, you know, kind of keep sharing that same stuff in real time. So I probably have to ask her to bring like half her collection with her to that dinner so we can listen to it during the dinner. And then the fifth person, I said I'm going to go 6. The 5th person that came to mind automatically was Dan from Canada. Most of you in the VC now probably wouldn't know him. He stopped doing videos about 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. But he was one of the original first VC members. I'm talking like first 2 or 3 before this thing was anywhere near being what's called the VC. And just like I was saying about Diana, I learned so much stuff from Dan, just in different categories and musical genres I just never would have even ventured to if he wasn't there introducing me to so many of them. But I know he really got into stuff he was doing with his band and kind of took up a bunch of time, and he sadly shut down his channel. He just didn't stop making videos, but he actually shut the channel down, and just hundreds of videos with just great stuff that got lost. So Dan would be one. And then the 6th person that has to be at that dinner, again, it's just off the top of my head, but this actually was the first person that came to mind. It was Dr. Love. that would be the guest of honor at this dinner, which, for those of you that don't know, that's Carlson Olsen, his alternate ego, I guess, if you'd say. I don't know if that's if that's the way to put it, but yes, Dr. Love, not Carson, Dr. Love would be the guest of honor at that dinner. And for those of you that don't know exactly, I'll see if I can go back and find some of the videos to maybe put a link down here below, because yeah, Dr. Love's my boy. But so those would be the 6 people that I would invite to that dinner. And what would we do? Just that. We would, you know, maybe go do a bit of digging or whatever else, you know, and then after that, just go someplace, you know, sit around the table and just all night long just sit around and talk about music and all things that revolve around music. That'd be a pretty good night. Maybe call it a night around 3, 4 a.m., whatever the case may be. But so there you go, man. There's my response to your question. Of course, it wasn't quick. Ended up taking 20 minutes anyway, but it was fun to answer. Again, congratulations on the 1,000 subs, and we'll talk to you soon, man. All right, take care.